Hello everybody, this is Brittany and Byron, and you're listening to Dirty Laundry with B&B, a podcast about real, relatable relationships.
Transparency at its finest, we air it out and clear it up, offering couples and those seeking healthy relationships a safe, inclusive space to open the vents and find resolve.
Hey, Dirty Laundry listeners! We are here ready to talk about some seasons tonight. And let me tell you, we have been going through it, y'all. We're moving right now, and we're obviously not in our normal setting. We're here in a hotel. We drive out to Florida tomorrow. So speaking on seasons is going to be so timely.
Yeah, right on time. We've talked about how we're in the transition of moving from the Midwest to the good old South.
Yeah, we've never lived over there.
No, we haven't. At time in the military, I think this is our sixth move.
Yes.
Our sixth move, I think 4 or 5 different states, 5 different states. This will be the 5th state. And our kids have been extremely resilient through this process, which has been very easy for me professionally. It's been a kind of a difficult decision, obviously joining the service, and it has its perks for sure. It's been a blessing for our family. I think we've talked about that before in the past, but it is and can be difficult also, especially when it comes time to move. And so we're in kind of this transition phase again, this season of change and new beginnings as we make our way down south.
Yeah, and I think every marriage goes through seasons. And this one in particular is a little bit different than our normal seasons for me because the kids are older.
Yeah.
In the past, we've done the whole moving thing and it's just been you and I.
Right.
But this time, we have the kids, and Jonah pretty much, our youngest, started school here now, and he spent all of his years, this is all he really knows.
Right.
And so it's been tough to watch them this time. They're having to say goodbye and leave their sports teams. And so breaks mom and dad's heart a little bit more this time than it has in the past, for sure.
We tried to prepare ourselves for this, but there was nothing we could have done to better prepare us for this moment. And today we were tested. Because we picked the kids up from school this afternoon, and as soon as we saw our youngest walk out the door, we already knew that something was going on with him. And so when he got into the car, mom was like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You okay? And he just started bawling, and it broke my heart, to watch him do that. And he said that he was sad because he was leaving. And so like you said, this is going to be the most difficult move we've had so far because of the formative years that our kids are in right now. They will forever remember their friends that they've made since they've been here. Jonah, he was in kindergarten during COVID, but he was only on the front half of kindergarten. And so he was doing it from home. So Brittany was the teacher. I was the principal. You know what I'm saying? But it was not hard for him to move from California to here because he didn't really make any strong connections with people in his class. So for him to have been here, for both of them to have been here for 3.5 years and to form the bonds that they did, and then for them to really understand how that's going to change as we move it's going
to be a little tricky for sure.
It's tough.
So, and our oldest is going to middle school, so hopefully he'll just transition right in and make new friends. I mean, of course he'll make new friends, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
We all make new friends, and we've all been through that in our life. But it's a very interesting season for us because we normally have sports going on all week. We normally are very routine. We cook dinner, but we've been forced to eat out a lot, forced to sleep in random places that aren't your bed, and there's just all this discord. And I try to stop and see the beauty in the change as well, because while this is really difficult and it's really exciting at the same time, you have to just make sure you stop and smell the roses, as they say, because it's just there's beauty in this. We're still together. We're still a family.
Yeah.
We still have little Lulu right here with us. And, there is some beauty in the change if you can actually stop and see it.
Yeah. We tried to explain that to the boys a little bit, that as long as you have family, as long as we keep our connection and our bond strong, that we can conquer anything.
That's right.
And they are very sociable, so they're going to find new friends. But we also want to be sensitive to the fact that they do have people that they really care about here too. So that's also the beautiful thing about technology, though.
That's
right?
True.
They just started playing video games, and so they've been playing with their friends across that platform. So we're hoping that they continue to do that while we move too.
Yeah, they will, for sure.
Yeah.
That's like, we didn't have that growing up. You'd be like, you'd lose contact, no Facebook, none of that. So, But I want to highlight tonight seasons in marriages specifically, or relationships. It doesn't have to be marriage, any relationship, because we tend to maybe feel this want or need to always have this excitement in our relationship. And don't get me wrong, the excitement part is super fun, and I'm here for it. But I think what people tend to be afraid of is like that rut, that like relationship rut. Sometimes when you first start out a relationship, it's really exciting. It's super fun.
Yeah.
You can just be really spontaneous. But then there comes a point where like, that can't be forever. I mean, yes, you can do those things.
What you mean? Hold on now. What you mean it can't be forever?
Well, you can't.
I'm not exciting all the time?
You are exciting.
Every day? Okay.
But once you have like children, you can't maybe do spontaneous trips. You have to have those type of things planned. And so I say seasons because sometimes it's how it is. And sometimes doing, mundane things is how you have to function.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to live there, but that is part of life. And I think that it's important to make sure that you're growing with your partner and you're understanding that not every season is going to be that bright, happy season.
Yeah. I think for us, you have been the backbone and the foundation to our everything, right? I think I am more spontaneous and exciting, and I want to do this, I want to do that. But I realized after we started dating that doesn't always work, especially if you want to have a successful, strong, and enduring relationship. You've got to have some type of consistency and strategy, right, and structure in your relationship. And I'm grateful that you've brought that to our relationship. But it is also important to remember that a relationship can and should be exciting at times.
Absolutely. It just should never be a peak of a relationship and then it just dies down. That's not what we're looking for here. As though I'm looking for contentment. I'm looking for, it won't always be exciting. It'll be things that we just have to get done and it's part of life. But as long as you have contentment and you're not like hitting a peak and then going down and you can't get out of that. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I don't want anyone to think, because when you said contentment, I'm like, but I have to remind myself that contentment is not a bad word. It's not a bad word. It really just means being okay with what you have, being satisfied. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that there's not more to be done.
Correct.
You can yearn to want more. You want to continue to grow, but learn to be content and happy with the blessings that you have right now. So that way, when new things come, you'll be even more excited for it.
That's right, because do not mix contentment up with being lazy. I'm still expecting you to, keep the spark alive, be spontaneous, do all of those things. Yeah. But I'm also just want to lean on the fact that those are not everyday things. A lot of times social media and movies make these really big romantic scenes and it feels like it should be like that every day. And so then it may make you feel like, well, I'm not doing something right. I don't feel that romance every day. And it's like, that's not reality. And so some seasons in life are just going to be different. And as long as you're growing together, and I'm not saying like, I don't want to wake up every day, go to work, come home, eat dinner, watch TV, go to bed. Like, I'm not saying positive.
That sounds like a good night to me.
Oh, Lord. So I'm just saying like, there's beauty in every season.
I saw this interview of Kobe Bryant, and he was talking about practice And he was explaining to the interviewer that he gets up at 3:00 in the morning. And they're like, why do you get up so early? You're great. And he said, well, think about someone who gets up at 10:00 and works out till 12, goes home, has lunch, recovers, takes a nap, gets back up at 2:00, goes work out for another couple hours. And then they go pick the kids up from school. And then you got to do dinner. And then you got to do bedtime. And then you tired, you go to sleep. You got 4 hours out of your day. So he's getting up at 3 and he works out 4 or 5 times a day. So he's getting 8, 9, 10 hours of working out in. Practice. The importance of going through the rut, the mundane, the structure, the boring stuff to kind of highlight that greatness or prepare yourself for greatness. So then when you parallel that with your relationship, all of the talking, the communicating, the laying down in bed, working on your budget, talking to each other about your day, cooking dinner and breakfast and getting the kids ready for school. All of those practices, right? All of those mundane, slow times actually do create memories for you and your family, but it also prepares you and catapults you for those great, exciting times.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And I already spoke on how we are always running around with sports, and we literally had between music and sports and everything, something every single night. And now we've been, that's all taken away. We're about to make a move. And when I was in it, I was like, oh my God, this is so exhausting. I'm trying to keep track of everybody, get dinner done.
Yeah.
But now I'm looking back and I'm like, man, that was so fun. Yeah, who wants to sit in a car and eat their food before practice or run to a drive-thru to get dinner? But when I look back at it, there's so much beauty in it. There's so many memories that the kids are going to have,
You always realize when you're in the moment, you don't realize when you're in the moment how beautiful and how fun and how exciting things are. I'm laughing because we're in right now what they call temporary living facility, which is a TLF, which is an on-base hotel, basically. And like Brittany said, we don't have any sports or anything like that going on right now. So it has been kind of boring. And I'm laughing because you have been like, Byron, I've got to get out of this room. Yes. I got to get out of this room. Yeah.
Every day I'm like, I can't sit in here. I can only watch so much Bridgerton on my own.
You don't watch Bridgerton, you're working during the day.
No, not during the day, just in the evenings and stuff. I can't just sit around. So I'm like, let's just go do something. Let's get out. But it's been nice. It's been a nice change. But it's just a reminder that every piece of your life has a season and a chapter. Not everything is going to be a peak. There are going to be times where you get the promotions or you get to move or you come home with a great award or you get to buy a new house. There's going to be those moments. And those moments are far less than the everyday moments, the conversations we're having at the dinner table. Mm-hmm. It's the little things that we're doing, the walks we take as a family, the sports we go to. And I just don't want to lean into that boringness or that my relationship is the same every day as a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think there's a beauty in it. And it doesn't take away from you still choosing to love your partner. You're still committed to your partner, but you're kind of going through these things together. Yeah. And hopefully it won't stay like that. Hopefully it's not a rut. It's just this is part of life, know? Right. And I really want to not make that sound like you're being lazy, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's just a different season. It's a season to kind of sit down,
Yeah, it makes me think about a time where a mentor had talked about seasons. There's a reason for the season. You specifically, I say you specifically, but you as an individual, you have these different seasons in your life. So if we think about that for a relationship, let's kind of walk through the seasons and see if we could talk about what we think that season means. So starting with spring, right? So what do you think that means in a relationship? For me, I feel like that's the excitement that you were talking about. New beginnings, blossoming. New life, right? New, if you're getting married or if you're having a child or if you're starting a new job, that's exciting.
Yes, something's coming. You have that anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun stuff. And then you moving into summer. Summer is more of your relaxing time, right? So there is no more change. Right now, we're kind of we've already blossomed. We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we know what's going to be expected. We can relax if we want. We can, chill and really just enjoy and be in the moment in our relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's my favorite season. That's my favorite season.
Yeah.
I like new life. I love new beginnings. I think though that sometimes it can cause a little bit of conflict or anxiety, really.
Yes.
Not necessarily
Feel
conflict.
overwhelmed.
Absolutely, because change is change. And sometimes you just don't want change. Like,
Yeah.
we really, in this assignment in the Midwest, this is the first time I think we got really ingrained in the community.
Yeah.
And we've met a lot of friends, off base friends, and great connections, great business partners, outstanding colleagues, great professional opportunity for growth. And so even though this next assignment is going to be great, like, I'm excited to tell y'all like all about it and what we're going to be doing in the Southeast, it is bittersweet because this has been a beautiful time for us and our family. So yeah, spring is cool. And I love the change, but it rips you away from that summer that you were just having, especially if you feel like you were thriving in that season. It can be concerning sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's the first time I've admitted that I'm a little overwhelmed right now by what's going on. But it'll be good.
How could you not be, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to move into the fall season.
Okay.
And, that's a time where changing, you kind of know that there's that harsh winter season coming. And this might be a season of where you kind of aren't getting along. You kind of have some disagreements. Maybe there's some conflict there because now there's a change, right? Either you're changing or I'm changing. And there's some kind of, I won't say resentment, but something that's causing some conflict.
Yeah.
That can happen in that season.
Yeah.
And then as you move to the winter season,
snap.
That's maybe the dark season of marriage, right? That's where we're in a rut. We can't get out of that same argument. We're just going in circles. And that can be a winter season. And I'll say this about the seasons. Every couple does not go in that order. I mean, those seasons come in different places. But a strong couple will make it through every season.
Yeah. That's a good point, that they're not necessarily chronological.
Not at all.
And in order to really understand what season you're in, you got to communicate with each other. There have been many times where I feel like we're in winter, but you feel like we're in spring.
Right.
And so when you come in all excited, it kind of gets on my nerves. No, I'm just playing.
He wasn't playing.
No, I'm just playing. No, but for real, like, I think that sometimes to that point, maybe our seasons are different for each other.
Right.
Great segue. You just got great news from your job.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Brittany just got a promotion. Hey.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
And I was so excited for you. And I still am very excited for you. And I'm dealing with like a lot of change in my profession. So right now I'm in like the fall, like you had explained, I'm in the fall season professionally and personally, really. And I feel like you might be like in the spring, summer.
Definitely.
Right?
I definitely feel like that.
We got to kind of try to balance each other out. Rewind a little bit. Earlier you talked about not being so high and then like dipping down real low. Can you explain that a little bit? Because I thought that was fascinating and I kind of want to dive into it a little bit. I feel like, I think I've mentioned this before too, it's really important to try to gravitate towards rolling hills instead of having these huge high peaks and these extremely low valleys.
Yes.
And you can have that we've had that where we're extremely excited about something, life is going well, and then something just, destroys, and just comes in full force in our relationship. And it can become a dark time where we're in this really low valley. So whenever we're going through the rigorous, I won't say rigorous, but these very mundane, slow, methodical times, I think those are resiliency building times for us. So
and that's where the growth is happening too.
Yeah, so we can achieve rolling hills, meaning if something exciting happens, we can get excited about it. but we're not going to be overly excited about it.
We're not going to live there.
Exactly.
We're not going to live there. And we have to do that with children a lot, right? Like we have to be like, hey, we're not going to always get something when we go to Target.
Yeah.
Just know that.
Yeah.
Even if mom gives in a lot. But no, I'm just saying, like, it's so easy. Like, if you chase the high of life, you're going to be let down.
Yeah.
You're going to be let down because those exciting moments, having the children, your wedding day, your grandchildren, they're far and few between.
Yes.
Those are just really great and amazing things. And that's why you hear people say a lot of times, celebrate the small victories because you're not going to have big victories all the time. So you're going to have to find the joy in those little things. Yes. I'm glad that I ate healthy today. I'm glad I took time to fold that laundry. Like, there's little things that you're going to have to be like, I'm proud of that. I'm glad I did that. Yes. I'm glad I answered that email in the fashion that I did, and I didn't really have to go off on anybody today. You didn't pop off on nobody? Exactly.
Yeah, so you
Pat
did your
on my
thing,
back.
girl.
You know?
Pat your back, so let me get some of that
But
too.
there's going to be little things in your day that you need to make sure you celebrate. And if that's the reason why. Yeah. Because you don't ever want to have too many highs to where it feels like it's an instant drop, puts you in like a depression, you're overwhelmed, you're anxious because you're looking for that next, like, I got to do something to make my life more exciting. And I mean, maybe some people actually do, but you know what I mean? But not the big things in life. Those are far and few between, and they're blessings and they're exciting and they deserve all the celebration. But you got to be able to, like Byron said, roll off that accordingly.
Yeah, yeah. And same is true on the opposite side. Right? So you don't want to live in the low either. So if something bad happens in your life, you've got to remember that good times come too. And know that those bad times in your life are going to build a stronger you. And it's really difficult for anyone to realize that that's what's going on at that very moment. It's really hard for me. Yeah. So I know it's hard for folks to really deal with that and really understand that while you're in a really dire moment or a sad moment,
a winter season,
your winter season individually or in your relationship, that, you know, you're going to overcome it. I'm struggling a little bit right now. So I have a grandfather. He's 98 years old, and we went to go visit him on yesterday. And my kids, you know, they love talking to him. You know, they talk back and forth with each other. I say talk back and forth to each other. They give each other, a hard time. And it's funny to watch, you know, the different generations interacting with each other. But we're sitting on the back porch watching the kids throw the football, and Grandpa's just smiling and just really enjoying it. But as we're leaving and concluding our visit, our sons are playing on their phones. And my grandfather's trying to, you know, say goodbye to them. And, you know, I had to remove the phones from them and say, hey, make sure you say goodbye to your granddad. And they were really kind of sad about it because they wanted to play their game. But when we got in the car on the way out, you know, I explained to them that, you know, this might be, you know, sadly enough, it could be the last time you see your great grandfather, you know, my granddad. And that was a really tough moment for me. But then I had to remind myself, like, man, we've had some really good times together. Especially during, you know, this assignment here in the Midwest. I've been able to see him quite a bit.
And he's 98. He's 98, like, any more time you get is like borrowed time. Like, that is a blessing. Yeah. Not many of us will see 98 years on this earth. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's a win in itself.
It really is. And I've learned so much from him, and I will forever cherish that moment. But I share that because although I can see that it could potentially be a winter season for me or our family because we lose such a patriarch in our family, I know and I remind myself of all the positive, beautiful experiences that he has shared with us and how far we have come as a family and as a people based on the crazy stories that he had provided me. And I've gotten to write down. You know, that just proven positive, bright legacy that my sons got to experience and that they'll get to share with their kids too. So you can find bright times, right, out of your winter seasons too.
And I'm sure we have been married, it'll be 15 years this summer, you guys. I know, we're like,
that's crazy.
How are we so young? I know, it doesn't make any sense. The math ain't mathing. Don't worry about it.
Don't even trip.
But when you have been in a marriage this long, you can really take a look back and you can pinpoint the seasons.
Yeah.
specifically, probably the winter seasons are much easier. For some reason, we always tend to remember the negative more than we do the positive. I can remember a lot of like obviously positive, but it's funny. Like I remember the winter seasons, whether that was personally or in our marriage or just hard times. And for me to come out of those winter seasons or those tough times, it really took Byron like making an honest effort and saying like, you know, what do you need? What do we have to do? And those conversations really changed us moving and helped us move along out of those seasons, you know?
Yes.
And so, and you have like a really understanding heart. Like you are just like that kind of person. Versus me, I'm very like matter of fact, like, nope, let's just fix it. And like, I'm just, you know, you're just so understanding and you can sometimes see the emotional side of it more than I can. And so it takes somebody in the relationship sometimes to bring that marriage. Sometimes you got to carry the marriage. You know, we talk about in one of our episodes, we talk about being parents is 50-50 and we're like, it's never 50-50.
It's never 50-50.
And a lot of times you feel like you do everything. But if you guys were to flip into each other's bodies, you'd really realize that the other person is doing just as much. They're doing other things maybe, but they're doing just as much.
Yeah.
And so I think a bit of grace in a winter season is needed. And sometimes professional help is needed. Sometimes counseling is needed. Sometimes you got to have that third party. And sometimes you need your spouse to say, get your shit together. You know, like, I don't know what's happening here, but we can't live here. This isn't going to work. Sometimes we need to hear that.
You got to keep it real with your partner.
Absolutely.
And it's really hard to do. If you're not keeping it 100 with your partner, then you're going to be on unsolid ground. And it's going to destroy your relationship because you guys are working from different sheets of music and your symphony's ruined.
I was just thinking, this is not a plug for Netflix by all means, but I have to say this because it's on my mind. We've been watching the documentary about Ashley Madison, which is like, it's like a website. You guys probably know about it. It's a website that promotes like basically having affairs and all this. Well, it's a documentary and these men and women are explaining like, you know, when all of this stuff was leaked, you know, why they did it. And I kid you not, every married person so far, we haven't finished the documentary. And this is not an advertisement for Ashley Madison. But
you sound real excited about Ashley Madison. Hold on.
I just think this is so interesting.
It is fascinating.
Every married person that was on that site started out by saying, I was happily married. And then one gentleman was like, but you know, it was just kind of boring. And they were like, oh, I got plenty of sex from my wife. And we were very intimate. And I had a great life. But yet they still found boredom in all of that. Yeah. And so that's why I say you have to make extra efforts to embrace the boredom because you're not going to live on a high all the time. I mean, I can remember when we had no children and we dated for 7 years. We were married for almost 4 years before we had children. So you're talking 10 years of having fun. And if we would have lived in that place, and after we had children, it was kind of a winter season. Not because we weren't happy, but
no, it was different.
It was different. We didn't get to do what we want. We couldn't just like throw a movie on and eat whatever. Like it was different. And so it's just, you can't live in that high forever. And that doesn't mean that our relationship is less happy or, you know, it's just that there's some contentment in growing and going through those things together.
Well, too, you got to think about how whenever you have children or whenever you get married, let's rewind even before that. I feel like our college years were some of the best years we've ever had in life, right? And that was before we were even married. And so before you're married, you still have the individual you that can go out and do whatever it is you want. Yep, we're in a relationship, we're dating, but we don't have to stay together. It's a choice. Right. And so whenever you get married, now it's kind of a transfer of power because now I can't do everything I want to do. I have to also abide by some of the things that my spouse wants to do too. So you do transfer that power. And then when you have children, you have even less say. You lose some of that freedom to do what it is that you were doing before you had children. So I feel like now I have really become content and excited about living life for my children. Yeah. That's where I find peace. Like we had our fun and we continue to find opportunities to have fun. Like you've already mentioned to the listeners that every year, Brittany and I, we have a trip that her and I go in October. That's the month that we. Oh, excuse you, girl.
Lulu wants the podcast too tonight.
That's the month that we started dating. And so we go out on a trip and we kind of rekindle our relationship. But more than that, we still find opportunities to date. Shoot, I feel like every night we put the kids to sleep, we date.
That's factual. We have always done that too.
Yeah.
You know, we put the kids down and we have like our own time.
Yeah.
And I love that part.
Absolutely. I think that's important that you continue to have that time with each other so that you don't find boredom. What's also crazy about this show, y'all, is that, yeah, they said that they were extremely happy in their marriage and they still found boredom. But then I asked myself, why was there no discussion about your boredom with your partner?
Right.
Like, did you not say like, hey, man,
need some excitement.
Yeah.
Like,
and this is not just men, by the way. This is men and women.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
I know, you know, when I thought, you know, my unconscious bias is like, it's got to be a man that's doing it all. But that is not the case here. It's men and women that are out here, you know, partaking, were anyway, but we ain't got there yet.
Yeah,
I don't want to explode that, but they were, you know, out there getting it in with other people. But yeah, I think that's why I think. And so as we're watching it, I'm like, hey, babe, listen.
Are you
if
bored?
you ever get bored, like you need to talk to me about.
Yeah.
You know
okay, but
saying?
like boredom is like the worst excuse for cheating. Like I don't condone cheating. If you don't want to be with your person, then you need to tell them and you need to leave them. Like however that looks for you, like you should never hurt somebody for your own selfish needs, you know, intentionally, like falsely hurt someone, if that makes sense.
So we're getting off topic a little bit.
We totally are. We got all into this documentary. But let's keep going here
because I do have a question because there was a part in the show where they said, well, an individual said, so yeah, I understand that this person cheated, but under the inclination that it's not just the person who cheated's fault. It's also possibly their partner's fault too. What are your thoughts on that?
Ooh. Okay, well, I don't know that you can blame anybody for the actions that you do.
Okay.
But I know that your actions can be based on how something else is done on the outside of you, like in your realm.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, when it comes to a marriage, you do not get to make selfish choices anymore. You've lost that privilege. You've signed a piece of paper under God in front of your family and at the courthouse that you were going to be faithful to this person unless it looks differently for your marriage, which, you know, that's a whole nother conversation. So no, I feel like you owe that person a conversation.
I agree.
100%. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say it was a novel idea. I just never thought of it like that. I've always wanted to blame the person that took the action. But like you said, I think that if you took the action, there's a reason why you took the action. Although it's not one that I agree with, you know, I think that, yeah, had there been a conversation, perhaps that could have prevented that individual from doing that action. But there is an underlying issue that has not yet been taken care of. Hence, that person stepped out and did whatever they had to do, what they thought that they had to do. I don't condone it. I don't agree with it, but there should be a conversation had for sure. Yeah,
absolutely. In my opinion, and that's my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. You know, you hear that too about like stalemate. Let's talk about the winter season, right? You hear people say, well, you know, it's because they weren't communicating. I left them because they didn't talk to me. They didn't, there was nothing there anymore. We were just living this mundane life and I needed excitement. And of course, you hope, you know, we're not in their relationship or this imaginary person, but you hope that they are having those conversations or saying, and at least if they put in that effort, you know, I feel like the effort goes a long way.
Yeah.
And actually maintain it too. You can't just like put in the effort for a moment and then like, okay, well, I did that. They're good now. Like, that's important to maintain what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
It's not always, marriage is not easy. Bottom line is you are going to sacrifice. And you are going to sacrifice. You're not going to sacrifice who you are morally, hopefully, but you are going to have sacrifices in love. And there's going to be sometimes where you have to sacrifice things for me. Whether that be a job or moving somewhere or whatever it looks like in your relationship.
But see, I think that is the ultimate goal is to want to sacrifice for your person. I'm not lying when I tell you this. Like, and I'm not trying to be corny, but I really do find delight in sacrificing for my family. I feel like that is my
That's his
purpose.
testosterone speaking. Go ahead, proceed.
I sacrifice. No, seriously, like I want to sacrifice for my family. And that doesn't mean I have to be a martyr or I have to, change who I am as a person. I feel like who I am as a person further illuminates us as a family. I feel like when I walk out of my house, I want to represent my family in a positive manner, in a strong, confident manner.
Yes.
Competent manner.
And like if I also agree with you because I'm thinking like, if you sacrifice something to move so that you can have a really cool job, like it's not just you winning, we win.
Yes.
Like we win because you're going to find joy in that next chapter and that next season of life. And that may not be my time to shine. Or our children may have to be what we sacrifice. I may have to sacrifice things for them so that they can be successful. I'm not going to feel guilty about that. Like if y'all win, we win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think too, we did a pretty decent job of balancing all of the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because we could have stayed in a certain area that we wanted to stay in the Southeast. However, the schools weren't the best in those areas. So we had to find a home that was within a better school district. I say better, but a school district that has, above average or average schools for our children, because that's our sacrifice. We want them to have a good, positive educational environment.
And what Byron didn't tell y'all is that he's sacrificing a 45-minute drive to work every day, okay?
Man, so that's my sacrifice. But at the same time, like that is a 45 minutes that I can listen to our podcast, you know what I'm saying? But no, but that 45 minutes, it's minuscule compared to the benefits that my family's going to receive out of that.
The happiness.
But that goes to show, like, I really do. I really feel like I get excited whenever I have an opportunity to do something, not necessarily that's going to diminish me as a person or it's going to punish me.
Right.
But I find joy in doing things that's going to bolster our family.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I was just thinking we are heavily talking about children right now and, how those kind of fit into our marriage. But there are going to be seasons in our marriage. One day our children are going to be grown. And unfortunately, that day will come sooner than I want. And we're going to move into different fall, autumn seasons where you're taking care of your parents. And now maybe you've got to fly to take care of your mom. And people go through these type of things too, where there's always going to be some type of season. Maybe we get sick as we grow old. And, those type of seasons are going to be difficult too. So it's not just children because I know I heavily keep speaking on children and how I've gone through and how we've gone through those seasons. But there are going to be other people outside of this relationship that are going to pull us into certain seasons.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And so that's why it's even more important to truly, truly cherish the small wins and the small victories that you have in your life, because you never know when something's going to go awry. Something's going to be a little bit different than what you had initially planned. And so taking our kids to music lessons right before baseball practice, right before we have to go meet friends for dinner. Like those are moments in our life that we've got to truly cherish. And I think we're trying to talk ourselves up right now because it is really hard and we don't have a lot of time. When we talk to people about our podcast, it's like, how do you find the time to do it? Right now it's dang near midnight and we're out here.
For real.
But we find the time to do it because we enjoy doing it.
It's a passion of ours.
When you're passionate about something, you've got to find the margin to do it. And so that's what we do, and that's what they say. You can sleep when you die, right?
That's right.
But we do find rest at times. But yeah, it's really important to truly, truly be present. And that is one of the most difficult things that I can do. And it's so cute too, man. I said cute, you know what I'm saying? In the most thuggish way that you can say cute. But my son, had come home from school, and he was really excited that he got this 24 out of 25 on his math test. And rewind, before that, he had done like not so good on the pre-test. So I had worked with him the night prior to the test. And so he comes home, he's out so excited about this 24 out of 25. And I'm like, man, how did you do it, man? I'm so proud of you. That is so good. He said, Dad, because you told me that I just need to be where my feet are. I was like, right on, man.
Right.
Because sometimes he gets really excited and he, before he finishes reading a question, he'll think he knows the answer and he'll answer it before finishing reading the question. I said, son, you just need to slow down and just be where your feet are. Be present, slow down, take a breath. And man, I was so happy to hear him use those words.
He did. He said, I just told myself, be where your feet are.
That's right.
Dad taught him that.
And that's important. Mm-hmm. And I'm teaching him that while I don't even do it myself. Right. But I'm really trying to work on that, you know?
You do better than I do.
Yeah.
And let me tell you guys, we went this weekend, we were like super present, like so present that Byron was like, you didn't take any pictures of us on the kayak. We went out to my family's farm and there was like, 34 of us or something. We didn't have any cell phone service.
None.
Kids camped. Fish, we rode hay rides. And let me tell you, I was so present.
Yes.
Like I was fully present. We played wiffle ball. The girls won. And we made s'mores, but no phones were there. And you were like, oh, Brittany, you didn't even take any pictures.
No, I'm just a little upset that you just really glazed over the fact that you was not telling the truth about because the men won. Anyway, continue.
We had another inning.
Sorry.
You guys totally didn't take the win. But, we're really competitive in this family as well. But I also just want to say, like, it was so refreshing to have no cell phone service. Like I said, you kept saying, like, you didn't take any pictures of us. I'm like, I didn't even have my phone. Like, it was at the dock and we were on the lake. And it was so wonderful to see everybody, like, forced to sit in a circle and talk. No one was on their phones because no one has service. Y'all, I was telling Byron, we got to do this more. Like,
no doubt.
You actually said that, I think. I just stole your words.
You did. Like, you've been stealing and not telling us what is going on right now. Yet, no, it was great because there's so much space out there to where, and also I really like the fact there was no agenda too. Like, you could just do what you wanted to do. So, you got the lake and then you got the cabin and you got the hills and you got the hiking trail. I mean, there's just so much to do for some people that like to be outside.
Yeah, that's true. Y'all know we're from the Midwest originally, so don't hate on us.
It's not city life. So, but yeah, I mean, fishing. This story reminds me. So you talked about like not staying in the highs. One of my sons caught 22 fish, and that never happens. And so I had to explain to him, and I didn't want to. He was so excited, and he did win. We had a fishing derby, so he won the fishing derby. Really excited. But as he's fishing, he's on like number 18. Like, Dad, this is 18. This is my 18th fish. And I said, son, I'm so proud of you for catching these fish, but I gotta keep it real with you. This never happens. And this will never happen again. And I'm not trying to be mad, be mean to him, killing his vibe, but it's just real. Like, I don't want him to stay in that high so much that every time we go fishing from this point on, he's like expecting to catch all of these fish, But man, such a great time. And you're right. It was great to not be around all these electronic devices, like to be separated from that digital, I don't know, that digital lifestyle, man. It was great to just be present and be there with the family. It was awesome. It was outstanding.
It was really awesome. So now it makes me want to do that more often because even Byron can attest to this. Like, y'all, when I am working from home, I am like in it. Like, he can ask me a question and my message will ding and I'll be like, uh-huh. Like, I am so invested in my work and just, I stay so focused. So like having a weekend like that for me was like, you know?
And then perfect. So Anyway, that's another episode. I think we should talk about another episode.
What do you talk about in another episode? You gonna tell me later?
Yeah, I'll tell you later. Yeah.
Also before we wrap this up, I wanted to say we have received more than a couple, handful of questions for episode 20, but please continue to send us more questions.
Yes.
You can ask us anything. If there was anything in the season, like thus far, that we had maybe a special guest on, and you had questions on something about their story that you wanted us to cover or ask them so we can provide an answer.
Yeah.
We just want the episode 20 to just basically be like a Q&A. You can ask us about us, anything you want to know. We're pretty open. Obviously, we have a podcast. So I just want to put that little plug in there. Please DM us, email us. All the information is below. Subscribe. We are on YouTube now.
We're on YouTube, y'all.
Yeah.
Live.
So
yeah.
Please subscribe. That is slowly moving compared to social media, but we really haven't promoted it much. So I'm trying to put a little plug in for YouTube. But yeah, thanks. This is a wrap. I mean, this was good. Seasons come and go, and strong marriages just have to ride them all.
Yeah, that's it. And just, again, understand where you are or which season that you are in. And you can only do that by self-reflection, self-awareness, and communicating with your partner. And it's okay to feel like, man, I'm on this high, I'm riding this cloud 9, and you are really dragging me right now. Like, you are really pulling me down. Your energy is not what's up right now. So it's okay to have a difficult conversation, but that's way better than getting bored and ending up on Ashley Madison.
I don't know how we brought this all the way around. This is like a straight plug for now. You guys are gonna go watch the documentary. You gotta go watch it.
I mean, it's pretty decent, but yeah, it's interesting to say the least. But anyhow, thank y'all again for listening, man. This has been such a joy for us and such an honor also to be on this platform with y'all. Without further ado, be blessed, be you, just be. We out. I'm blessed to be me. Blessed